The great John Williams conducting Star Wars. Dun-dun-dun. Today is May 4th. It is Star Wars Day.
Hey, Rich, can I interrupt real quick?
Yes, Gary.
I had the great pleasure, even though you know I'm not a Star Wars guy.
How can you not be a Star Wars?
I'm just not. It's never connected. I'm not anti science fiction. Just never connected. Anyway, I got to see John Williams
Really?
as a guest conductor for the Chicago Symphony, and the whole concert was the greatest hits of John Williams movie scores.
Wow.
One of the coolest experiences of my entire life. And I'm not normally a symphony guy, but it was a really, you think of all the different Star Wars themes and the Superman theme, and just it was amazing.
Did he do the Imperial March?
That was like the last encore. That was like the final encore. That once they got to the Imperial March, we knew that was the end of the end. But they did John Williams scores up to the intermission, and then after the intermission, they introduced John Williams. He comes out and conducts the orchestra for the second half and multiple encores.
Did you know that he was going to appear?
Yes.
Okay.
I was a chaperone with the part when Parker was at Glen Allen High School, and it was the band trip to Chicago. And so we went there knowing he was going to be the guest conductor.
All right, for someone whose child is into music, and Parker's a great musician, and he enjoys it. He played at Christopher Newport in the jazz.
He was in School of Music. He was in the jazz band, the marching band. He was in multiple groups.
So for someone like that, music is such a big part of their life. For him to be able to see John Williams, can you give me what that's like?
I think it was his freshman year in high school, so I don't think he truly appreciated it. But in the 8 years since, he has learned, I'm going to remember that for the rest of my life. The John Williams thing, he had to kind of look it up, see, but he knew,
there was some gravitas to it.
He knew the gravitas, and he knew, there was some familiar songs that he knew he was going to hear. And of course, he was also focused on how good the musicians were making a living playing for the Chicago Symphony Orchestra.
Does he like your music?
Yes.
Like your wife is a metalhead, just like Super Dave. Does he appreciate his parents' generation's music?
Yes, he is. He's very eclectic. He listens to. You talk about the music he listens to. It is all over the map.
Really,
including some of his mom's music and some of mine, and others that we kind of shake our head. But he likes all of it. He's gone out of town to see jazz bands, blues. He's all over. He just loves music. Period.
Oh, that's cool. All right, look, we're going to get to the bottom of why you're not a Star Wars.
Well, we can figure that out later.
Yeah,
I know you got to go. I just wanted to let you know the John Williams thing because it was so cool. And predictably, that was the last encore.
I think the Richmond Symphony is doing something where they show Star Wars and then play the music. I want to go see that. I know it for the commercials.
They've done that. They've done stuff like that before.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to see one of those. All right, Gary, I'll let you get back to it. Thank you very much. We're asking this morning in honor of Star Wars Day, who is your favorite Star Wars character? And I got a couple of, and by the way, the fact that you made me look up your character means a lot to me, so I don't feel like such a fanboy this morning. Super Dave?
Yes.
We had to look it up.
We did.
Because I didn't know off the top of my head.
And once I saw the picture, I knew I didn't know the name of the character, but I remember seeing him.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
And it was a deep character, and we loved it.
Yeah, no, I love that. So who's your favorite Star Wars character? Are you Jedi or are you Sith? Is the other thing. I see people driving around with like Sith stickers in their cars. I'm like, what's wrong with you? You're rooting for the bad guys. So I'd like to hear from you this morning. 833-804-1140, 833-804-1140. Your favorite Star Wars character. I do want to give you an update, though, because we've covered redistricting on this show so much. And I want to let you know what's going on right now as of this Monday, May 4th. We are about to head into chaos right now. Here's what's going on. And I'm going to give you a new name. Okay, I want you to listen up. Here's a new name. A new title I want to throw out. called placement. I'm going to go back to Revolutionary War times. Back in Revolutionary War times, during the reign of King George, you would have patrons, you would have powerful people that would put people in the House of Commons, maybe even the House of Lords, maybe even the House of Commons. And they were there to do one thing. They were there to do the bidding of the powerful patrons that put them in those positions. And they were referred to as placement. So right now, the way that this Commonwealth of Virginia looks like, I don't know if you can legitimately say we are electing representatives when the maps have been drawn in such a way, they've been gerrymandered so severely, that are you really, really getting an opportunity to elect fair representation, or are you just going to install whoever the Democrats run in that district that's guaranteed to have a Democratic outcome? Those aren't representatives. Those are people put there by their patrons, by powerful people that decided they will be in that case, the House of Commons, in our case today, in the House of Representatives. So I don't think anybody that wants to run for these districts that will be gerrymandered will be real, accurate, fairly elected representatives of the people. They will be placed. So just start thinking about that a little bit. The maps are drawn to guarantee that no Republicans will be able to win in 10 of the 11 districts. That's not fair representation. That's not an open seat. That is pre-placed placement being sent to D.C. on the behest of their patrons. So I want to update you where we are right now. So Friday, the Board of Elections got together, and on their agenda, there were two: certify the referendum that we just had. The yes votes outdistanced the no votes by a slim margin. But because there is a stay, there was not a because there was a stay on the injunction on the referendum certifying the votes, they cannot do that. Jay Jones had gone to the Supreme Court last week and asked them to overturn the stay. The Supreme Court rejected that request. So when the Board of Elections got together on Friday, they were not able to certify the results of the election. Therefore, we are now sitting in limbo. Now, there are people that are running around putting together their campaign, getting their signatures for these placement seats that we will have if this gerrymandered district goes through. But I'll remind everybody that we have 45 days of early voting. We moved back the primaries to August, which means, folks, we're about a month and a half away from the primaries to see who's going to run for these placement districts. So right now, the rules change in the middle of the game, and the whole thing is frozen, and there's about to become chaos here in the Commonwealth. This isn't really about who won or who lost the election. It's about whether you can force the constitutional change on a party line vote after the process has already begun. Meaning, the election had already started, and they introduced this after the election already began. They started the election, and then they ramrod this thing through, simply partisan, 100% partisan. So as the chaos begins, you're going to start seeing finger pointing at the courts, the Republicans, and everything else. I'll tell you right now, going on record, if you want to blame anybody for the chaos that we're about to have over the next 2 weeks to decide whether these placements will be on the ballot or will have accurate representation without gerrymandered maps in the Commonwealth of Virginia, three names you can put it to: Don Scott, Abigail Spanberger, and primarily to Louise Lucas, who was the Senate leader that ran into the Texans who flew away from their state and protest over the gerrymander down there. They talked to Louise Lucas, and she single-handedly said, I'm going to use my muscle to ramrod this thing through, but she didn't do it in the 90 days beforehand. She didn't tell anybody until after the General Assembly had gotten going and after the voting started. So now all this ends up in court. So you're going to start seeing in this next few days, mark my words, the crystal ball is out, and I'm very rarely wrong, that now you're going to have, as the certification stalls, you're going to have people standing in the Supreme Court waiting to decide if the referendum was even legal in the first place. If people are going to start pointing fingers to the court and the Republicans, but I'll tell you right now, I'm going to go on the record. 3 people are responsible for all of this right now. that it's the same people that pushed through the General Assembly vote and have certified, signed that in the governor's mansion. Don Scott, Abigail Spanberger, and primarily Louise Lucas, who thought she had enough power that she could play by her own set of rules instead of following proper procedures and protocol. She smashed all the norms to get this pushed through. And now we're sitting here waiting to see what's going to go on. So chaos is about to happen over the next 2 weeks until the Supreme Court decides whether this was even fair to have on the ballot and whether the referendum even should have gone to the people. And again, we have Virginia law, the precedent that says the Supreme Court will not get involved, with court cases until after there is an agreed party. They want to call it a standard procedure. Reality, the selection can't even be certified because they waited to the last minute to push all this through. So when you break the process, you don't get the results, you get the rulings that you have to wait for. So let's just make sure everybody's on the same page. They rushed the process. They broke the norms, and now the Supreme Court will review it. And until then, we'll have the chaos whether we're going to vote for representatives of the people or placemen put in there by powerful people north of Richmond. If you want to comment, please feel free. But I just want to let you know that right now we're at a standstill waiting for the Supreme Court. And they've got to get their act together quicker because they have one more to come before them. They've already agreed to. They'll probably have another that'll get through the Sean McGuire, Rob Whitman lawsuit that even talks about whether these maps were legal or not. But all of this is now squarely in the Supreme Court. And if people start squirming and people start getting upset, and I'm already starting to see that bubble up, whether we're voting for representatives or placemen, if you want to figure that anybody who put us in this situation, Louise Lucas, Don Scott, and Governor Spann, by signing the bill that allowed this vote to even go on. You want to comment? Feel free, 833-804-1140, 833-804-1140, but we'll have to see what happens the next few days, 2 weeks. But you have people out there campaigning for seats that we're not even sure they're legitimate seats that these placemen want to run for. You want to comment? Again, they're placemen, they're not representatives. If you have districts that are 100% gerrymandered and nobody else can win except for the people that have been anointed to win, that's not representation. That's having a placeman the way they did at the House of Commons before the Revolutionary War. 833-804-1140. All right, let's talk about men's wellness.